All right, welcome to the 11th episode of the How to Build a Black Nation with Power podcast. This podcast is about understanding and bringing together the many pieces of our empowerment and freedom puzzle under one unified roof as much as possible, ensuring that we don't become a permanent underclass in the country that was built on the backs of our ancestors. We want to take into consideration what our people have done and what so many are currently doing. Our empowerment and freedom march is most certainly not starting at square one. So let me begin by first thanking you, Major Colombo, for taking time out of your evening to be here with me. I know you have always been a busy brother, and God knows if it weren't for this, you'd probably be doing something else. So I do thank you for taking time to be here with me. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it too.
Cool. All right, brother. Question number one. For those that don't know, for those that are watching live and or the recording. So who is Major Kalomo Maasai?
Major Kalomo Maasai, aka Marvin A. Dandridge - Wilmore. I was born and raised in Philadelphia. Came out of what we call Richard Allen homes. A lot of people call it the projects. But had most of my upbringing there. And it was like an African village where everyone took care of each other, you know. As time progressed, it went downhill. And they even got to the point where they tore down and they got these little townhouses now. I went to all predominantly Black schools. My high school was a predominantly Black all-male school. As in the city of Philadelphia at that time was 3. Another all-Black school was Thomas Edison High School, where if everybody remembers that now, there were more Black brothers killed in Vietnam come out of that one school than any school in the United States. I came out of high school, the last, what we call the AB school, in the 1965.
Okay.
And well, I just had my birthday last week. I'm now at the age of, gloriously can say, 75 years of age.
Go ahead, brother. Congratulations. 3/4 of a century. All right. So is that it? Go ahead. You got more? Go ahead.
I was just a regular old Black boy in the hood.
I'm not sure about regular old, but okay. So 2 things that I, of course, did not know. I knew you were from Philly. Didn't know you went to a predominantly Black all-male school. Was that something by design your parents chose that school for you, or you were just kind of bused there? What was the situation with that?
Well, we had no busing, believe that.
Okay, all right.
We walked to school.
Okay.
And if you lived in a Black neighborhood, then all your schools were Black.
Amen. Amen.
You know, we didn't do any busing or anything like that. You went to the nearest school that you could go to where you lived. And that's what happened to you in Philadelphia.
Okay. Were they all? Go ahead.
No, certain areas that designated what school you went to.
Okay. Okay. Were there all female schools as well in the area?
Well, it was 2.
Okay.
One was down the street from us, which was called William Penn. And then there was another one called Kensington. And then it was another one called Girls High also.
Okay.
Now, we had 2 schools with somewhat integrated high schools. One was all-boys school called Central. And the other one was called Girls High. So that's how the makeup in Philly. I have a strange story on that one. When I was in junior high school, getting ready to go to high school, I was told, or they put it to a question to me, what would you rather do? Be an A student at the high school I went to, which was called Ben Franklin, or be a C student and go to Central High School, where those were the more supposed to be most intelligent people that would automatically probably go to college. You know, and I didn't realize it till later on in life how it had really affected me of that question. You know, it's like, you know, when you read Malcolm X, they had, you know, different other books. They always told you, you know, go here to be better, but they don't want you to really excel by furthering your education.
Right, right.
You know.
Okay. So you said something else I didn't know, obviously. You said there are more brothers killed out of your high school than any other high school.
Not my high school.
Not your high school. Okay.
The other predominantly black high school
in Philly.
Boys.
Okay. Yep. Okay. So there are more brothers out of that high school that were killed than any other high school in the U.S. in Vietnam. Yeah. Why do you think that was? Do you think the recruiters targeted Philly? You think brothers had no other options, so they went into the military? Why do you think that was the case, that so many brothers out of that particular high school went into, or I guess was drafted into the army? Yeah, okay.
We were drafted. I was drafted.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Okay, go ahead.
I was drafted, and the weird part about it, I had made my mind up to join, but I didn't know which one I was going to do. I wanted to go to the Marines, and gun ho, you watch all the movies, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I was working, and I got off work, and I was going through downtown Philly, and I was going to go to the Naval Recruiting Office and join it for the Navy.
Okay. When
I got home that night, I had a draft notice.
Okay.
that was weird. That was weird.
So I whenever I think of the draft, I only think of the Army drafting people. So all the branches were drafting for Vietnam?
Okay, the way they did it with us, was they had us in a big room. And they picked out people to go into the Marines.
Okay, based on what?
They asked for volunteers. We get drafted in the Army.
Okay.
This is 1966.
Okay.
Then they asked who want to go to Marines. Those who stepped up went to Marines. Then they start picking people.
Okay.
You go on the Marines, you go on the Marines, you go on the Marines. Y'all go over here, go to the Army.
Wow.
That was weird.
Just like that.
Just like that. And it was predominantly black. Most of us were black guys.
Wow.
At the same.
Okay. So I did you eventually enlist and go into the military?
No, I was drafted.
Okay.
I served 2 years in the Army.
Okay. I didn't know that. Stateside or you went somewhere else?
That's another crazy story too.
Okay.
I got drafted, but you know, when you take those tests, I was supposed to be somewhat, according to them, somewhat intelligent.
Somewhat intelligent.
Yeah, somewhat intelligent. So the first thing after you know, basic training, I was sent to school. I was sent to electronics school in Fort Sill, Oklahoma. Okay. But I fell behind because I had a hernia operation. Okay. You couldn't fall behind. The school was so intense and so much learning. So I fell behind. Plus I was kind of, I wasn't the best guy, you know? So I kind of mucked up a little bit, you know, and I was kind of a little bit black conscious. I didn't like the way some of those at the time, the battalion sergeants, those who was treating us. Yeah. The black ones was treating us pretty bad. So one day we had this guy who was our sergeant battalion. He had the old man where up here it's smooth and you got hair around your head. Yeah, yeah. So I cut my hair just like this. And I walked around barking orders. And well, they didn't like that very much. So they ended up kicking me out of that school, and then they sent me to another school. Okay. They sent me to Fort Dix in New Jersey, right next to Philly, in administrative. Okay. So I learned all of the administrative stuff like that, and then they shipped me out to Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. Now I became a part of S2, which is part of the intelligence. That's right. And record keeping and stuff like that. Yeah. But I was the only one in that office who was school trained by the Army. Somebody in that office had to be school trained. So I couldn't go nowhere. I
Okay.
volunteered for Vietnam twice. I typed up my own paperwork
Wow.
to go to Vietnam.
Why?
All the guys, I was stationed in Fort Leonard, Missouri, and a lot of the guys that was in the engineer corps came back with stories about Vietnam.
Okay. Okay.
The money,
Yeah.
the drugs, the clothes.
Okay. So you didn't think at all that you might not come back.
I didn't realize that too. One day, I was going to what you call the PX, stuff like that, and I met a brother from Ben Franklin. I'll never forget that. I mean, they was all geared up. I mean, they even had their rifles. They had the fatigues on, and they was making stop to get stuff before they go to the plane to go to Vietnam.
Okay.
I got word later that their plane never made it.
Oh, wow.
It got blew up on the way to Vietnam. That kind of changed my whole perspective.
Yeah. Yeah.
On going to Vietnam.
Yeah. Yeah. Really. Okay. All right. So how old were you when you graduated high school?
I was 18 going on 19.
And what year was that?
1965.
1965. Okay. So you did, when you went into the military, you were in the military for 2 years, 3 years?
Yeah, I was drafted.
Okay. So you were in for 2 years active.
Yeah, drafted. So that's another story in itself.
Okay.
Remember, I was telling you about they picked people who were supposed to have pretty good IQs and stuff like that.
Right.
I was sent to a meeting with all the brothers at Fort Leonard, Missouri, that had somewhat what they call high intelligence.
Okay.
To sit in the meeting, it was no more than 10 or 15 of us.
Okay.
To sit in the meeting, and they offer us to re-enlist to go into the Army intelligence.
Okay.
Now, to me, at that time, I was getting a little bit even more Black awareness. They wanted us to go, and then they told us, oh, after you finish here for 6 years, you can go into the Secret Service, you can go into the FBI.
Okay.
And all I thought it was at that time, when they told me that, y'all want me to infiltrate Black organizations. That's what I thought.
That you know what? You probably right, brother. You probably right. Because you know that is what they do, and they were most certainly doing a lot of that in the 60s and 70s, which you already know. So you're probably right. So when you got out of the military, it had to be right around what, 68, 69, something like that?
68.
68. Okay, so you were 20 years old when you got out.
Going on 21. Yeah.
Okay.
I was right. I had just turned 21 also.
Okay. So did you immediately go into college, or did you take some time off? What did you do after that?
I went straight to work.
Straight to work. Okay. In
Philly? Yeah. Because
okay.
What it was, I was working before I went in the Army. I was working at General Electric.
Okay.
And then General Electric had a building in Southwest Philadelphia, where at that time, most of the people that worked there weren't really, they were mostly maintenance. The Black guys was mostly maintenance.
Okay.
See, after I graduated from Ben Franklin High School, I went to another school, a Bop Tech. They call it postgraduate.
Okay.
Because one day I took this test, because I didn't know what I was going to do when I got out of high school. I took this test, and the test came home, and they said, well, you excel in electronics. I ain't so. I ain't never had no about electronics. So I was forced to go to that school. I was forced to go to that school. So during that summer, after I went to, the first semester, I put an application to go to work in General Electric and took their tests and everything like that.
Okay.
Now, I was hired as a electronic wireman. Now, that was one of the first skill jobs that they offered Black guys at that time.
Okay.
Another brother and I became the first two youngest Black guys that was highly skilled in General Electric.
Okay.
The building is torn down now, but that was an accomplishment in itself. Yeah. We the two youngest guys straight out of high school who got that job, and the money was good.
I'm sure. Okay. So what year did you join the Shrine? What year?
I joined the Shrine April 1st, 1973.
April 1st, 1973. And just for the record, I want you to know that I was 3 years old. No, actually, I was 2. My birthday's in October. So I was 2. So I was learning how to walk and you would join the shrine. So from 1968 to 1973, what was happening with you? What was happening with Black people in Philly? What was going on during that time period? From the time you got out of the military, started working at GE, leading up to the shrine, what was going on with you and Black people in Philadelphia?
Well, a lot was going on with the Black community around that time.
Okay.
We had the Nation of Islam. It was very active because you got to remember that Malcolm found the shrine. I found the mosque on Columbia Avenue in North Philadelphia.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. Okay.
My cousin has a story. He's passed now. He said, man, you don't remember when we was little? I said, man, what do you mean? He said, we was walking on Columbia Avenue with his dad, and Malcolm came out and he sat us on his lap. I said, come on, man, stop lying. I said, I got a picture.
Wow.
I never could find a picture. Plus, Elijah Muhammad's son, Wally D, at that time was in Philadelphia.
Okay.
So, then you also had the Black Panthers.
Okay.
Now, also around that time, the drug activity was ferocious.
Okay.
So you had so much stuff going on in Philly at that time, because I don't know, people don't remember the chief of police who later became mayor of Frank Rizzo. He had lined up the Black Panthers outside a house and had them with their underwear on. It was national headlines.
Okay.
He was a very ferocious chief of police and ended up becoming mayor of Philadelphia. So the climate for Black activity in Philly was very heavy. You had the House of Umoja, and you had different other groups. What's the group that got bombed and everything? They was there. So the Black activity in Philly was always very heavy.
What year was the MOVE organization bombed? That was in Philly too, right?
Yeah, I was in Philly, but I wasn't in Philly at the time when the bombing, all that stuff happened.
What year was that approximately? You remember?
I forgot. Okay. I should know, but I forgot. Even though I was watching some stuff, because a guy I played football with became the leader of MOVE while everybody was incarcerated.
Really?
And everything.
Okay. Okay.
He came to Houston, but I was on duty and I couldn't go there. So one of the sisters from the shrine went to the meeting, and I told her, if you see Gerald Africa, tell him Crazy Herb asked about him, because that's what they used to call me one time, because I was a pretty good football player.
Okay. What position? What position?
You'd be surprised. I played. I was at one time I was a blocking back for a brother who played for New York Jets called George Knock.
Wow.
I played defense. Defense was my strong game, because I was so small. I was really small.
Yeah.
But I had big shoulder pads and a big helmet.
So you had to play cornerback, right? Cornerback or safety?
I played defensive half.
Really? Okay.
And we had what we call, folks don't realize it, back in football days, a single wing. And I was a blocking back. I used to make the holes for the guys to go through.
You said make a hole for the running back. You're right, Major, because I never would have guessed that. Given someone your size, I never would. I would have said wide receiver real quick.
See, one thing, when we lived in Richard Allen, we couldn't wait for the snow. We go out in the yard, man, and we play football.
That's
I mean, we learned football at an early age. I mean, no pads. Sometimes on concrete, we tackled, and we actually had a couple of brothers who, a couple of them ended up going to the pros.
Okay.
Who actually taught us the basic skills of football.
Okay.
And all of us that actually played in the project, all of us that went to high school, we had the knowledge.
Wow.
And we had the heart.
I'm glad you mentioned sports, because I was going to ask you, what kind of high school student were you? So how would you categorize and describe yourself in high school? What kind of high school student were you?
I was good.
Okay.
I ran for vice president of my high school. I ran for president. I never won.
Well, at least you tried.
Oh yeah, I ran for high school. I mean, now that I was, I loved history,
Mm-hmm.
and I used to tell people that, at one time they told us in school that Egypt wasn't in Africa.
Oh, really? They moved it, huh?
I mean, I was actually told that.
Okay.
So I did a whole composition
Mm-hmm.
on Egypt in high school,
Yeah.
and it wasn't for history; it was for English.
Okay.
But I had an experience in junior high school where I was in what we call a choral speaking group.
Mm-hmm.
That I had this Black teacher who will actually have us go around the city reciting poems.
Okay.
And she always said correct enunciation.
Mm-hmm.
One time they played the Black National Anthem, and she told everybody in the assembly, stand up. Stand up. This is the Negro Anthem. We say, what is this? And that was the first time I heard it. That had to be around 1962.
Okay. Oh, wow.
And, yeah, and it stuck in my head all these years. And when I got to the shrine and I heard that, it brought tears in my eyes.
I'm sure. Okay.
Yeah, I said, wow.
All right. Okay.
Then I knew what the meaning meant,
Yeah. I would think so. So did you eventually join the church as a member of a college cadre, or was there another route that you took?
Okay, that's the story.
Come on.
We're known as the Philadelphia cadre.
Okay.
Everybody says should go down in history.
Yeah, I've heard.
My sister and my brother-in-law actually started.
Okay.
My sister got a book from a brother she was working with, the Black Messiah. Okay. She read it, and her husband read it.
Okay.
My brother-in-law, Sekou, Wally Moo Sekou, who is now passed, he took a trip up, him and one of his buddies, up to Detroit.
Okay. How far is Detroit from Philly approximately in drive?
8 to 9 hours.
Okay, cool.
And he read and brought the book back, and him and my sister went up.
Mm-hmm.
And they came back and started talking to us.
Okay.
They're talking to me, Sele, who recently passed, Baye, who recently passed.
Mm-hmm.
We used to sit in Sekou's basement. We'd be listening to Malcolm X albums. We listened to Dick Gregory.
Okay.
And we used to philosophize, philosophize.
That's right.
So when they brought the book back, we read it,
mm-hmm.
and we discussed it and talked about it. And my opinion was, this can't be for real.
Okay.
I couldn't believe it. From what I was reading, the Black Messiah already took me out.
Mm-hmm.
Because I had a problem when I first joined of Jesus being Black.
Okay. Would you say that would be your ABI?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. And for those that don't know, ABI is the acceptance of Black inferiority, and we'll have that conversation.
Yeah. Because you grow up, not that I went to church that much.
Sure.
But my mother was, to me, somewhat brought up, believing in God.
Yeah, well, you don't have to go to church. You don't have to go to church to see the white boy Jesus everywhere.
It's indoctrinated in the Black community.
It's America. Yeah.
Right. So, so that was the hardest part I had.
Okay.
Was, and I talked about it. Because we could talk. We could talk.
Yeah.
We had it, because my brother-in-law grew up in Richard Allen.
Okay.
Married my sister.
Okay.
My sister, Fundi Moanike, who's, my sister became a Fundi.
Yeah.
Sele grew up in Richard Allen.
Okay.
Baye grew up in Richard Allen.
Okay.
So we all knew each other. They were older than I was.
Mm-hmm.
But I was accepted by them. See what I'm saying? Because at one time, me and my brother-in-law, we had a little singing group one time.
Okay.
And we even did. Jeremiah made us come up to Detroit and sing. We said,
really?
Jeremiah, we don't sing gospel. He said, no, sing what y'all sing.
Right.
It was nervous, man. We said,
I'm sure.
And do what?
Right. How many of you guys were there? Doo-wopping.
Well, it was four of us.
Okay. All right. So okay.
Four.
Gotcha.
Three of us joined and one didn't. You know.
That day?
No. When we went to Detroit to sing.
Okay. I got you. Okay.
Yeah.
So your sister and brother-in-law went to drove to Detroit, went to the church, brought back the Black Messiah. You guys had a little book club. You're talking about it, philosophizing, talking about what's in the book. And your sister and brother-in-law eventually, shortly thereafter, started the Philly cadre, or was some time in between that?
It was a time between, because after we discussed it and we talked about it, we took a trip up to Detroit.
Okay. The four of you are?
Yeah.
Okay.
Five of us. Sekou,
Okay.
because he had already joined. Sele, Baye, my cousin, Matayer, he's passed. He was part of Njima, and myself.
Okay. Let me ask you, Major, really quickly. About what year was that?
That was 1973.
73. Okay. So there were those Black organizations that you mentioned, the Nation of Islam, Black Panthers. They were still around then. So why make that 8-9 hour drive to Detroit as opposed to joining something that was there in Philly?
Okay, I had already checked out the mosque.
Okay.
I liked some of it, but I didn't like all of it.
Okay.
The Panthers, I have been to the Panthers headquarters in St. Louis when I was in the Army, in Chicago. Oh, I really admired the Panthers.
Okay.
But I thought the Philadelphia chapter, which I had went to some meetings, but they were a little bit disorganized from what I saw in St. Louis and Chicago.
Okay.
So that kind of deterred me.
Okay.
You know.
All right. Gotcha. All right. So you guys made the trip to Detroit.
Okay. So us five go to Detroit. And like I said, this can't be for real. But they treated us. I mean, when we stayed in that, we had already had the training center. So we stayed in the training center.
Okay.
We went to Kazi that Saturday.
Yep.
They have we went to a couple of parties where they was raising money and stuff like that. And we ain't stay that long. I mean, we were whipped. I mean, when they said Kazi back then, man, it was Kazi.
It's putting in work.
So it worked.
Yeah.
And so, we went back that night. Me and Sele stayed in the same room together. And we asked each other, are we going to join? Are you going to join? And I said, got to.
Yeah.
That Sunday, we went to the shrine for that church service and we joined.
You remember who was preaching?
I don't. I think at that time, I meant to ask everybody, but I ain't got nobody to ask no more.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah. Because I think it was some sisters preached that Sunday, maybe one or two of them.
Oh, okay.
But whatever they preached about, we already knew from what we was reading.
Right.
But they enhanced it more.
Okay.
So after church, they brought us in this room. It's Jeramogi, General Maasai, all these brothers and sisters around the table.
Yeah.
Jeramogi said, are y'all serious? He said, we are. He said, well, y'all go back to Philly and organize.
Okay.
Then that's what we did.
All right.
And we were assigned a leader, a cadre leader, which was Saudi Kifu.
Okay.
So after we went back to Philly, we start taking the Black Messiah chapter by chapter, analyzing it, talking about it. Then we took Black Christian nationalism chapter by chapter.
Right.
We got to the point that we could actually we had to do our own sermonettes. Then we start talking to other people. Now, when we start talking to people, they couldn't believe either. Right. They were surprised how much knowledge that we had gained. From that point in, after we start talking to people and seeing, the hardest part about it was we didn't have anything visible.
Right. No institution.
We didn't have anything visible to talk like that. So what we start doing, we got a bus one time.
Okay.
From people we had been talking to, and took a bus up to Detroit.
Okay.
And some of those folks that rode that bus joined.
Right.
When they joined, we really came back and started organizing more.
Okay.
We were doing our own. We even got to the point each one of us was doing our own little sermonettes.
Okay.
Each one of us, we start preaching. We even went to return Baye's house into our mini shrine.
Okay.
Where we actually had a choir.
Okay.
We formed a choir that we would sing songs from the words we got from Detroit. Sadi Kifu, Sekou had became our group leader.
Okay.
And Sadi Kifu was always on the phone with Sekou. And then, as time went by now, we talking to people. We having church services.
Yeah. In his house?
In the house.
He must have had a big house, huh?
It wasn't that big.
I guess y'all worked it out.
And so then one time we had the order of Colombo, which was those who could act. And
yes, sir.
We brought to Philadelphia, what they call it, wherever it was like a stage play.
Okay.
And we brought it to the community college of Philly. Because Sekou was going to community college, and I think Baye was going to community college. They was working.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Major, because I always thought that expansion from Detroit happened by way of college cadres, but you guys kind of did it in the reverse.
Yes.
And that you started a cadre and then you went to the college campus.
Well, we went to college campus mainly because they called it the Ebony Ritual.
Okay.
It was a reenactment was happening with Black folks from slavery days up to the present.
Okay.
It was astonishing because the brothers and sisters from Detroit, we ain't know them.
Right.
But they could act.
Yeah.
I mean, oh man, we had the community college auditorium full.
Okay.
And it made an impression. From that point, we started trying to get folks that was going to community college to join the shrine. Okay. We didn't have a college trade. We were considered more so an urban cadre.
Yeah, I got you. And were you guys the only one that's ever done it that way?
Well, it was a small faction in New York.
Okay, I didn't know that. Okay, cool.
Yeah, brother, or bishop who's passed, Mbaye. He and his wife at that time, Imani, they has tried to do something up in New York.
Okay.
And a couple other folks up there, because we met with them a few times. They used to come down to Philly, we went up to New York, and we became very close. Yeah. So even Baye and Imani end up going to Detroit and then I think even Atlanta.
Okay. Okay.
Not too many others. But that's how we started, by just talking to people.
Right.
We raised funds. We was the first one to do what they consider communal budget.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We were the first one to do the communal budget.
Okay.
I mean, we put all our funds together, those who work, put it in there too. Then we some of us even moved into each other's houses.
Okay.
And, we had moved in each other's houses. And we started MOR.
Okay.
I mean, we didn't start MOR from the beginning. We opened up the East Coast to Detroit.
How so?
We went far as from Maine to Virginia. Okay. Getting spots to reach on while we were also reaching.
Okay, hold on. All right. So how long were you guys this active in Philadelphia? Because you eventually, where did you go after Philly?
We went to Detroit.
Okay, so how long were you doing what you were doing in Philly before somebody said y'all need to come to Detroit? And why was that the decision made?
Okay. Jerry Moji came to Philly.
Okay.
Again, General Maasai, Colonel Queasy. We actually had picked out a building.
Okay.
Jerry Moser picked out a building in Philly
Okay.
to build a shrine.
Okay.
But so much turmoil had happened. That's around, say, 74, 75.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, say, around 75. Elijah Muhammad had passed.
Okay.
I mean, the Nation of Islam was in
turmoil. Yeah.
Which really affected Philly.
Okay.
Because, they even had a part where some of the from what they say, some of the ex-Muslims got into drugs.
Yeah, I've heard that story before. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was. Then you had the drug activity in Philly was going crazy.
Yeah, so it wasn't safe.
It wasn't safe. It wasn't the right time to put something else in there to really divide the people, the Black community.
Okay.
But Jerry Moser really wanted to put a shrine there because it would open up the East Coast even more so than Atlanta had.
Right. So how long were you guys active in Philly before you went to Detroit?
Almost 2.5 years, man.
Wow.
They said,
you guys were doing it.
And the part about it, at one time, we were told that we were all going to go to Atlanta.
Okay.
Man, that changed our whole life around.
How so?
We were actually preparing to go to Atlanta.
Okay.
Those of us were still working or going to school. We stopped going to school. We stopped working so we can get prepared to move everything to Atlanta.
That's right.
And then we were told that we weren't going.
Okay.
That was a really test of our commitment.
Mm-hmm.
We could have folded up there because our hopes
was Atlanta.
To go to Atlanta.
Right.
Man, we'd be surprised. We cried that night we got the word we weren't going to Atlanta.
Okay.
We had to hold each other up. Some folks wanted to leave.
Yeah.
Man, y'all been telling us we're going to do all this and you're going to say we ain't. Oh, man, that was a test of commitment.
Yeah. So what happened after the decision was, after you guys were told, okay, you're not going to Atlanta, but.
My sister and my brother-in-law, Sekou and Monique, they went to Atlanta.
Okay.
That was another blow.
Because they were the leadership?
Huh?
Because they were the leadership?
Partially, and then they going and we ain't going.
Oh, y'all leaving this.
The niggerization started setting in, because what held us together in Philly was the group process.
Yes, sir.
We learned it, and we learned the hard way.
Yeah, you had to. At that time, yeah.
We were tearing each other up, man.
Yeah.
We were tearing each other up. But we actually came around to really understand how the group process worked.
Okay.
And the group process kept us together and it really saved us from ourselves.
Yeah.
Saved us from ourselves. And when my brother-in-law, Sekou and Monique went to Atlanta, and Baye became in charge. And then we were told we were going to Detroit.
Okay. And about how many people made that move to Detroit? About how many?
What was it, 10, 12? Something like that.
Okay. So it was a good number going to Detroit then.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So you guys were expansion cadre kind of before expansion cadre, huh?
Well, a lot of the expansion cadre was being formed because when we got to Detroit, we were put in expansion cadre groups.
Okay.
But in 1975, Atlanta had opened.
Okay.
So they already had the college cadre in Atlanta and everything like that. We went down. We went down to Atlanta. I mean, they opened their arms up to us, man. We didn't know how much folks held us in such high esteem.
Right, because what you had done in Philly.
Yeah, I mean,
legends.
we just trying to be strong Black Christian nationalists.
That's right.
There was no ego or nothing like that. We was just, hey, we want to be like y'all.
Right.
But they saying we want to be like y'all.
Okay, so let me ask you, Major, why do you think the shrine was able to expand to so many different locations? What do you think the appeal was for Black people to join this Black church of all things?
Okay. one thing was leadership. I mean, if you heard those people preach,
yes, sir.
man, it like they, like a lot of preachers are doing today, where they think like they talking directly to you, and then the group process, and really what a lot of people don't realize, change. Change. We've been, so what we call been niggerized so long, but we're willing. That's one thing in Philly. We were willing to change our lives, for the better,
right,
and for the betterment of Black people. Now, when we say, when we talking about changing ourselves, this has an effect on everything or everybody that you come in contact. So when you change your life, you're changing someone else's life.
Right. Right. So for people who don't know, I was joking with Cardinal Monifa when I did her interview, because we're used to certain terminology. We just throw things out and we keep it moving because we've heard it, for so long. But a lot of people don't know what niggerization is. So you need to explain, what do you mean by niggerization? What is that?
I mean, we all can say about the same thing. We became niggas.
Yeah.
We were proud African people. We were willing to share everything because we had all the things a person could have in life. That's partially how we got captured and became slaves.
Okay.
Because we had so much that we were willing to share.
Right.
But from, I call it the Black Holocaust. From us being captured or sold, and from the slave ship to slavery, we were told we weren't anything. We were property. And as time goes along, we got to the point of viewing ourselves as the same.
Yeah.
We couldn't read or write. They gave a preacher who saw a brother or sister who could rap pretty good. He take the words of the white minister without reading the Bible to obey your master, to do this, do that, do that. He sound better than the preacher, the white preacher.
Yeah.
The white preacher just sit in the back of the congregation and we clapping our hands, singing songs, and let's go to heaven. This is better than heaven than this here.
Yeah.
The white man didn't do what the white preacher didn't even have to sit in the back no more. He can go about his business.
Right.
And we are taking out each other to heaven.
Yeah.
Obey the master. So we're looking at ourselves as hate. We're starting to hate ourselves. Be turning into what the white man want us to be, with good old niggas. And then, like you said, then you had those out in the field, you had those in the house. We had total dissension. So we're trying to be more like the white man, and the white man don't care what we do because we still niggas.
Right. So
to be on the white man's side, oh, we good niggas. Oh, they bad niggas. So he kind of psychologically messed our minds up.
For sure.
But for us, we are less than a person.
Okay.
So we become niggerized.
Okay, I got it.
Black inferiority,
The acceptance of Black inferiority, ABI.
Yep.
Cool. Okay. So were you had to be around when college cadre weekend happened, right?
No.
Oh, you were. So that was before or after you? Oh, you in Philly? Yeah. Okay.
We in Philly.
So you missed that party.
Only thing, we went up to Detroit a few times, and then, like I said, we went to Atlanta when they opened up the shrine in Atlanta.
Okay.
And the weird part about that part was we couldn't stay.
Oh.
We had to leave when some of the festivities was still going on.
Okay.
When we got back to Philly, we were told that we had earned the Liberation Corps patch.
Okay.
African Liberation Corps patch. Now everybody didn't get that.
That's right.
There's a little square patch that went under the shoulder under the BC triangle.
Okay.
We awarded the African Liberation Corps patch.
Okay.
And So that was a heck of an honor, and we weren't even there.
Okay. Okay. All right. I got it. Okay. So Jeramoji's focus seemed to have been a lot on young people. Why do you think Jeramoji's focused so much on younger people as opposed to older Black folk?
Well, folks don't know, we were older than most, a lot of those young folks. I was 26 when I joined.
Okay. Oh yeah. So you were quite a bit older than the kids who were in college. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. But the appeal to change any movement or to change things, you gotta get the young people.
That's right.
Because a lot of older people are more set in their mind.
Right.
Don't want to change.
Okay.
And part of the attraction of BCN was change.
Right.
Change our lifestyle. Change to be a better person. Change how you look at the world.
Right.
And folks don't want to change.
That's right. That's right.
Even to this day. This day.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a perfect segue to the next question, Major, because the next question is, I'm glad you said it, BCN, what is it and why was it then and even now so unique as it relates to the Black church? BCN, what is it and why was it then and even now so unique as it relates to the Black church?
Well, Black.
Okay.
It defines itself. Christian. Okay. We check how you can say it. We brought the gifts of civilization of science, religion, and civilization to the world.
Right.
As a Black person, we could pick any type of what you want to believe in to any country around the world. Okay. We chose Christianity because of the life and teachings of the Black Messiah Jesus. We look at it in the Old Testament, how the nation of Israel tried to do what God wanted to do and become a people. Jesus wanted his followers to become a people also, to overthrow the Roman and Greek empires, right, to be a people. Right. So we could pick Christianity because predominantly America, up until probably recently, has been Christian. But the life and teachings of Jesus is the stepping stone, is a God way to self-empowerment. Right. As being a nationalist, everybody that has a country or people are nationalists. That's right. They want a nation for themselves, to govern themselves, to be in charge of their own progress in life. Right. So nationalism is not a bad word, but people look at it as a nationalism, especially you put Black in front of it. That's right. You're racist. It becomes a negative commentary. That's right. It's all right for anybody else to be a nationalist. White nationalists. Oh, what are white nationalists today in America? Part of your Republican Party. Nationalists. Yeah. That's okay. Put Black in front of it is bad. Okay. So then you got everybody, every country, every type of people. Yeah. Are nationalists. That's right. Who control their own destiny. Right. And Major, your description of Jesus, of course, the Jesus that we follow, the revolutionary Black Messiah, a brother who was trying to get his people to become a group, to come together so they can throw off the Roman and Greek oppression. If that doesn't describe a revolutionary, I don't know what does. So go ahead. We got to understand, revolutionary, people look at it negatively. Sure. Yeah, I agree. Because I consider myself a retired Black revolutionary. Amen. Yeah. Not that I'm through with it, but there's so much I can't do at my age.
Sure.
So
Yeah,
what
yeah.
I could do back then, you know.
Yeah, and you at this age, you should just be leading, teaching, and guiding. You shouldn't be doing the same thing you did 20, 30, 40 years ago, because we've all gotten older. So amen, brother, you've earned the right to sit down somewhere. But you're not dead, so you still got to teach.
No.
You still got to guide.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So what? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
So why do you think the church was so unique then with that Black Christian nationalist position or perspective? Were we the only ones talking that way?
No.
Okay.
We had a program.
Okay.
We had a program. We had a philosophy. You know, we had a direction. And like I said, one thing that really stood out: change.
Mm-hmm.
I think people don't realize when somebody's bringing to you a lifestyle that can change the way you think,
mm-hmm.
and change how you look about the world. Because a lot of people they really don't look at the world. They look at their little neighborhoods,
Right.
their little block, their little street. But the world view is very important.
Right.
You know, and the appeal that, hey, we can do something.
Mm-hmm.
We can actually change our way of life in this world,
Yeah,
for the better.
right.
That we can actually gain. You know, when we start getting our own institutions,
Mm-hmm.
you know, who else will have certain institutions? You know,
Yeah.
and within churches, the biggest Black institution that Black people actually have.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can come and say hip hop, but you can't even say hip hop because we don't know part of that.
That's right.
You know,
Yeah.
and you know, so what other institution do we have as Black people,
Right.
besides the church?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so
Okay. So I don't know of any church, Major, that had a program like the Shrine with, like you just said, institutions. We have multiple locations around the country, and you also said we had a program, a philosophy, a direction. We had a concrete plan to change the psychology. And you keep going back to this word change.
yeah,
To change the psychology and the thinking of Black people. So the question is, the next question, was Jeramogi unique in his thinking? Was it the church's overall leadership, or a little bit of both? Was it Jeramogi's unique way of thinking as it relates to changing Black people? Was it Jeramogi and the leadership, or was it the leadership outside of Jeramogi? What do you think lent to the church's position as it relates to creating a concrete plan to change the psychology and thinking of Black people?
First, it came from Jeramogi.
Okay.
It came from Jeramogi. I mean, it came from Jeramogi, and he selected those who say believed as he believes,
mm-hmm.
that could spread the word even more so than he could.
Okay.
That's when you talk about leadership.
Gotcha.
You know, because like I said, everybody know how many times Jeramogi had went to college campuses and spoke. Mm-hmm. You know, and some of them were listed in the back of Black Christian nationalism. You know, yeah. But he couldn't do it by himself.
That's right.
So he directed those who say felt the way he felt, or close to the way he felt,
right,
and to carry the word to other people,
mm-hmm.
who felt the way we felt at that time.
Right. Something
needs to be done. Who can do it? And it boils down to us with that correct direction.
Right. Right.
And the program. And that's part of the uniqueness part of it. The program is there.
Yeah.
The program was there. You know,
yeah.
The program is there.
Yeah, it's amen. There. So everybody that I've interviewed so far, from Cardinal Mutamaki, Brother K. Fane, Cardinal Zambayu, and Cardinal Monifa, and Fundi Karima from Houston, everybody talked about Jeramogi's knowledge and understanding of the Bible, how the power of God or higher power works, and spirituality, and its usage in our struggle to be free. So my question, Major, is what made Jeramogi's message and insistence about spirituality so different than other Black preachers or even Black leaders during the 60s and 70s? What made Jeramogi's message and insistence about spirituality so different than other Black preachers or leaders in the 60s and 70s?
One thing I would say, you had to feel the spirit.
Okay.
When you can read all you want to, but when you come together with a group of people that feel the way you feel,
yeah,
and gonna do what you're gonna do, the spirit comes in.
Yeah.
That's what I say. We're talking about part of what I consider say part of the group process. When you become one with each other, then you actually come one with God.
Yeah.
Because we are God's people.
Sure.
I mean, it's in our DNA.
Yep.
To be spiritual as African people, but to actually experience it, the group helps you to experience it. You can, even if you say, I experienced something on my own, but when you get with that group, it enhances it more, you know?
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Okay, so go ahead.
No, I was going to I'll wait on you.
You said when you become one with the group, you become one with God, correct?
Yeah, in a sense, yeah.
Okay, and you said the group enhances that experience more.
Yeah.
Right. So what is the process to become one with a group? You've used the word change multiple times, and I agree. Change is everything. If we ain't trying to change, then what the hell are we doing?
Right.
So how does one, or how did you guys in the church, how did that change process work in that it allowed you to become one with a group of Black people?
Okay. One thing, when the group becomes the center of your life.
Okay.
Now, when I mean by group becomes the center of your life, now you are going to do everything you can for the group to be better.
Yeah.
That means you got to give part of yourself. You have to give part of your ego.
Sir.
You know, you have to give part of yourself to become one with the group. Now, in the beginning, I would say in the beginning of being in the shrine, it was harder to become one with the group. Right. I mean, I wouldn't say harder. We didn't have, say, for instance, later on down the line, when we got those devotionals, it did something to everybody.
That's right.
You know.
Yeah.
You know, it did something. It really opened us up even more. You know, that the closer we're getting to God, you know, when the closer we're getting to God, the closer the group became. Right. You know, again, that enhanced it more so than, say, the beginning. A lot of the time, I think in the beginning, we was basically going on total commitment. What's best for the church? What's best for Black people? You know, but when we started really doing devotionals and everything, it brought a more enhancement of God into our lives. Even though we know God was in our lives, but the devotionals and stuff like that really, to me, enhanced what we could do even more. Okay. So your answer is that you become one with the group, or to become a part of a group. You gotta let go of individualism. As difficult as that is, you gotta fight that beast. Always. 24/7, every day of your life. Amen. Because it is going to pop up for sure. Yeah, and then having the right rituals and programs, tenets and practices, which you gotta have, because it's not gonna just happen because you wake up one morning, all of a sudden you're a group. It's a process. And in order for that process to work, everybody has to be on board and on the same page. Okay, so if for those that missed the beginning of the show, you're listening to the How to Build a Black Nation with Power podcast, where we seek to understand and bring together the many pieces of our empowerment and freedom puzzle under one unified roof as much as possible, to ensure we don't become a permanent underclass in a country that was built on the backs of our ancestors. Taking into consideration what our people have done and what so many are currently doing, our empowerment and freedom march is not starting at square one. Tonight's episode is our 11th episode, and our guest is Major Kalomo Maasai. So, Major, next question. This might be kind of deep one, so I'm gonna give you some time if you need it. I want to know what is spirituality to you, and how do you define it?
what is spirituality to you, and how do you define it?
To me, spirituality is becoming one with God.
Okay.
How do you find it? Part of it is already, like I said before, it's part of our DNA.
Okay.
We've been a spiritual people from the beginning of time. To how you obtain it, you can have a spiritual experience on your own. It's but what you do with it. You know, it's what you do with it. You might think it was a spiritual experience, and you might not be able to tell anybody about it or really understand it yourself. But that's why I say sometimes when you're with a group, you really feel a certain type of experience. You know, some of the rituals and things that we had in the shrine, I used to play the drums.
Okay.
The congas, I played the congas. Now, I would participate in the ritual by playing the drums. And I had an experience, I played the drums so much that I think I passed out. I was feeling something that was way beyond me, that made my hands move, that it totally accomplished me.
Yeah.
You know, but I don't think I could have done it completely by myself.
Okay.
You know, when one time I went to Atlanta, I participated in a ritual there. And because a lot of times in Detroit, I couldn't participate in a lot of the rituals because I was always on duty or doing something like that.
Okay.
And then it did a really awakening to me. Like I went back to Detroit and said, dang, I want to go back to Atlanta. You know, it was an experience that I hadn't felt, I'll say experience I never felt before. Okay. You know, and it was doing a ritual that I had, to me, I had what you call an enlightenment.
Right.
You know, and it really touched me.
Okay.
But spirituality itself, the oneness with God, as close as I think I can say it, what it is to me.
Okay. So what do you need? Oh, there you go. But I say, do you need to put that somewhere? All right. So where do you think we'd be as a people if we had that collective understanding and experience of spirituality? Where do you think we would be as a people if we had that collective understanding and experience that you just described of spirituality? Where do you think we'd be?
Well, one thing, we would have a whole different outlook on life because we would have a change of mind.
Right.
Now, back in the slavery days of them worshiping a white God, a white Jesus, they had a spiritual experience.
Okay.
That brought them through, a lot of them through slavery.
Sure. Yeah.
Because they thought they was with God, even though they didn't recognize or just think it was just all a white God, a white Jesus.
Yeah.
But they had a higher, a superior being. They was, praying to and worshiping that brought them through slavery. You know, so like I said, through our DNA, we are a spiritual people. You know, we have a strong belief in God. God just don't have to be like an African say, in the water, in the trees, in the sky, no specific name, So spirituality is always been with us. We just hadn't been able to reach it or get to it that will help change Black people's lives.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I often share with people from the church that it absolutely breaks my heart every time I see a picture of Martin Luther King or Malcolm X and I don't see a picture of Jeramogi because I know what kind of leadership we had in the church, and you've already talked about it. We had some phenomenal, very powerful leaders. When I see Martin Luther King or Malcolm X, I want to see Jeramogi. When I see Malcolm, I want to see Cardinal Sondai, Cardinal Lou. When I see Angela Davis, I want to see Cardinal Lindy Wade, Cardinal Manifa, Cardinal Abi. Share with us your perspective on Shrine leadership and tell me how you think Jeramogi and the church was able to develop such dynamic leadership. Your perspective on our leadership And how you think Jeramogi and the church's leadership was able to develop such dynamic leadership?
You know, the brothers and sisters that I've met in the shrine, highly intelligent.
Yes, sir.
Highly intelligent in all different ways of life. We have so many brothers and sisters out here today, or back then, who were so very intelligent.
Yeah.
Orators, writers, you know. But most folks, they wanted to change their lives too. And under the direction of Jeramogi, they could use their skills to better themselves and to better other Black people.
Right.
So the leadership part was very strong. And I have an uncle, or my uncle passed, who, when you say we like to see Jeramogi's picture and stuff like that, I got a picture of my uncle with Martin Luther King.
Okay.
And when I joined, my uncle wrote Jeramogi a letter, thanking him for letting me become part of the organization.
Okay.
And my uncle, come to find out after years down the line, even up to a couple of weeks ago, they put a title on my uncle. Wasn't for him, it wouldn't be Blacks in the Presbyterian Church. Okay. And me and him had talked about it. I didn't know he was a friend of Jeramogi. They didn't agree on everything because my uncle was a Presbyterian, but he was heavy in the civil rights movement.
Sure.
They didn't always agree on everything. But my uncle saw me going in a direction of something positive for Black people.
Yeah.
That he wrote him a letter telling his nephew is joining, you know.
Okay.
And, you know, that was to me, that was kind of weird. That was kind of heavy.
It's definitely heavy. I'm not sure about the weird part, but it was definitely heavy. Okay, so in my conversation with everybody, we talk a lot about the holy orders that were created by Jeramogi and church leaderships. I heard of some of them, but some of them were new to me. Of course, the Holy Order of the Maccabees, the Holy Order of Njimia, Holy Order of Colombo, the Holy Order of Nzinga, the Holy Order of Nehemiah. So next question, Major, is what is your definition of a holy order, and why do you think they were, and even now, so important? What's your definition of a holy order, and why do you think they were important then, and why do you think they're important now?
You said the first word was holy.
Come on.
Ordained by God. You know, and Jeramogi said, we are God's chosen people. So the holy orders were to sustain the kingdom of God here on earth.
Okay.
So, you know, you had the holy order of security to sustain the army, to sustain your nation.
Right.
Nehemiah and Njima. Those who are going to build the nation, you know. Those who are going to Nehemiah, those who are going to participate full time with their lives and skills to build a nation.
Yeah.
You're ordained by God to take that order and fulfill it to the highest of its capabilities. And so that's a holy order.
Okay.
Ordained by God.
Ordained by God to take care of the nation.
Yep.
Gotcha. Sustain the kingdom of God here on earth. All right, so I'll take notes. So since I know you were a Maccabee, that's why for everybody, that's why I keep calling him Major, because he was a Maccabee. Tell everybody what well, you kind of already said it, but so I'm gonna ask again officially. What was the Holy Order of the Maccabees, and then what did it mean to you to be drafted into the order and to be a Maccabee? So what was the Holy Order of the Maccabees, and what did it mean to you to be drafted into the Holy Order and to be a Maccabee?
Okay, that's my heart.
Come on.
I mean, the Maccabees is the Holy Order of Maccabees is the army of a nation. To be a part of it, to me, it's always been an honor. willing to sacrifice, to do what is necessary in any capacity to protect and secure the nation.
Mm-hmm.
When I joined the shrine, I hadn't even thought about being a Maccabee.
Yeah.
I could see them. Oh my God, that's one of the first things you see. I mean, it blew your mind.
That's right.
But I wanted to be a strong Black Christian nationalist.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I wanted to be able to consider myself totally committed.
Mm-hmm.
And when I became a Maccabee, because in Philly, we started out as just basic security. And then we became cadets.
Okay.
When I went to Philly, and when we got to Detroit, Saleh became a sergeant and I became a corporal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was an honor
Mm-hmm.
to start training physically and mentally to protect the nation.
Yeah.
You look at those who were Maccabees before me, the proudness. When they say a man in uniforms is a man, it does something to any type of people.
Mm-hmm.
A man in uniform.
Yeah.
The discipline, you know, it took a lot of discipline to as a fellowship of brothers and sisters that I don't think you can have anywhere else.
Mm.
When you want somebody to be able to say, I got your back,
Yeah.
and you got mine, we would do anything it is to protect Jeramogi,
Mm-hmm.
our brothers and sisters in the shrine, yes, and to protect other Black people out of the shrine if necessary.
Sure.
Because we are the army.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I rose up in the ranks pretty good. You know, like I said, I can consider myself to be total committed. I always have the same. I'm not going to tell you to do anything I won't do myself.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, it's always been an honor.
Yeah.
To be a Maccabee.
Amen. Amen. All right. So what kind of good do you think, Major? What kind of good do you think the Holy Order of the Maccabees could do in a Black community today? Brothers and sisters sworn to protect that community via participation in a holy order. What kind of good do you think that could do?
In today's time, in today's time, you need to show of force.
Yeah.
In the daytime, you need to show force, and you have to patrol your neighborhoods.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think in every city that we've been in, we did that.
For sure.
We patrol the neighborhoods, we show force.
Yep.
You know, and the community welcomed it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the community actually welcomed it. At first, they was kind of scared of it, you know, especially in Houston.
Yeah.
Because when we first got Houston, first people went down there was the Maccabees and Jima, which was also Maccabees.
Mm-hmm.
The one who actually built the shrine.
Yeah.
And Maccabees acted a little fool down there at first. I mean, because it had the Detroit. I'm not saying it wasn't completely bad, but when you're in Detroit with a certain type of environment,
mm-hmm.
you can't have the same, and you don't have the same environment in Houston. So you got to let up a little bit.
Okay.
I was sent to Houston. What was that? 77.
Okay.
Yeah, around 7 before the cadre got there.
I don't know. I was 7, so I don't know.
Yeah, I was sent to Houston before the cadre got there.
Okay.
I became in charge of the Maccabees. I became the financial officer.
Okay.
And the cadre leader, and before the cadre got down there.
Okay.
Now that's all aspects of Maccabees.
Mm-hmm.
Maccabees are skilled in very numerous things besides just
security,
protecting and securing the nation.
Right.
You have Maccabees in all type of positions. I've been ordained a Wali Mu, Major Wali Mu Kalomo Maasai.
Yeah.
You know, I've been a group leader, MOR coordinator, worked with the children. I was a total house parent.
Okay.
I was a van driver, you know.
Yeah.
MOR, you know, always in the counting room.
Whatever's needed.
If they ever need a
Whatever they
transportation coordinator.
So
You know.
tell me about the difference in the environment, Major. You said they had to let up a little bit. What was the environment like in Detroit as opposed to coming to Houston? Why the need to let up?
Okay. In Houston, it was at that time considered like somewhat Bible Belt, you know.
Yeah, somewhat.
Laid back and stuff. In Detroit, we're always ready for anything to pop up.
Okay.
Any type of violence to pop up. So the Maccabees always ready. It was on guard.
Yeah.
They was always on guard. They sometimes marching around with their rifles.
Mm-hmm.
You know, protecting the property.
That's right.
That's because the only thing we had then was 5702.
Okay.
And the town was being built in the fellowship hall, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, there was a little tight.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shade their heads. So folks was,
we
got Philippines down here. So we didn't want to come off as the militant type.
Sure.
In Houston. Because, you know, we are militant.
Right.
That's where we propose ourselves with our black berets and our jump boots. Oh, sure.
Okay.
At one time in Atlanta, I had to show that one time in Atlanta. I dressed him up again in jump boots, and because Atlanta was starting getting a little crazy too. So that's what I did in Atlanta.
Okay.
And went behind the shrine and did a big exhibit on marching and stuff like that. So the community can actually see.
Right.
So yeah, we was back in fatigues, berets, jump boots.
Okay.
March back in the shrine. Oh yeah, that has a feeling of protection for the black community.
Yeah, yeah. I tell people all the time, Major, and I'd be surprised if I don't mention this at least, I don't know, 2 or 3 times a week. I tell people about the feeling you had living on the church's property at MTI, knowing that you're safe, you're secure, your kids are okay. You forget to lock your door because there's no need to lock it, but the Maccabees is going to lock it right around 2 o'clock. Little arm come in your door, lock your door, close it back. So tell me, brother, what did it feel like to you to be one of the many sworn protectors of the nation and to do a good job at it? What did that feel like to you?
Like I said before, it's an honor. You know, it's an honor more so than anything else. Okay. Because the thing was, I'm willing to put down my life.
That's right.
To protect and secure our kids, our future.
Yes, sir.
Our institutions. You know, it's very important to that. Hey, it's in the blood. Got to be a part that was in the blood, and to have the camaraderie with those who felt the same. Because you got to remember, first we were Maccabees, but we were Black Christian Nationalists first.
That's right.
You know, and a lot of people used to have a hard time with that. They thought we was just Maccabees. No, we're Black Christian Nationalists upholding the law and the order of Black Christian Nationalists.
Amen. Really quickly on Facebook, Brother Seum says total commitment. Fundi Krima says heightened awareness, excuse me. And Fundi Krima also says teach hard, Major. So you got some fans on Facebook. So speaking of Fundi Krima, perfect segue. Tell us a little bit about the bucket of blood in Houston. What was that about?
Woo!
Come on. Come on,
bucket
brother.
Of blood was just what it was. Bucket of blood. It was, folks didn't realize how gigantic that housing complex was.
Okay.
Right before we took over the bucket of blood, which was nothing but a gigantic dope house. Gigantic dope house. Everything went along on there. Prostitution, everything went along down. It got to the point that the cops didn't even want to come there.
Okay.
We had an incident before we bought the bucket of blood. I was on duty at 5702, which was the apartment complex next to the bucket of blood, was separated, was the bayou, and out around the front, we had an iron gate. One night, I was on duty. One night I heard all this howling and screaming, kill him, he raped me, he raped my sister, he raped my man. It was about 30 or 40 people pour out of the bucket of blood, running at this guy. This fool had a nerve to jump our fence.
Hmm.
I caught him.
Okay.
I caught him.
Yeah.
At the same time, other Maccabees had to come out, not to get him, to stop folks from jumping our fence and coming on our property to get him.
Yeah.
I held them down till the police came, and I turned them over to police.
Okay.
I had to go to court
Mm-hmm.
to witness him. I didn't know what the guy looked like. They had cleaned him up so much and everything like that, that you believe that was him.
Yeah.
So later on, right after that happened, I went to a community event where the community was there and they had the police department there and everything like that. So we had just bought the Book of the Blood,
Mm-hmm.
and they heard about that incident and everything like that. So they had me to come up front, and I got a standing ovation for representing the shrine, you know, because since we had just took it over.
Yeah.
Now, so the police captain pulled me to the side and said, well, he thanked us very much for doing that. And hey, you need anything, here's my card, call me personally.
Mm.
You know, so, but once we purchased the Book of the Blood, we went to the Book of the Blood, door by door, apartment complex by apartment complex. They had holes in the walls that you could escape through from selling drugs.
Wow.
We went to the back area. One woman told us that this is the first time in what she said 2 years that her children can go outside and play.
Hmm.
We went to another part, which was the shooting gallery.
Hmm.
What I mean by shooting gallery, that they were actually doing drugs.
Okay.
We found people laying in their own squat,
Hmm.
their own feces,
Yeah.
just laying there, shooting up,
Yeah.
still there. When we had already put most of the people out front, and the main buildings out, we already put them out.
Mm-hmm.
But there were still buildings in the back that had to go through, we had to also go through, man, door by door by door. And that's when we found all these people like that back there. We had to put them out.
Mm-hmm.
Then we had to barricade 2 entrances. You put vans, spotlights
Mm-hmm.
on each entrance because the word was out from the drug guys that they had a hit on us.
Hmm.
So we had to stay armed 24/7
Yeah.
at each gate. And at night it was even, because they used to drive up at night.
Mm.
Then we was flash the lights so they couldn't see us. So he's armed, he's on the roofs.
Yeah. Wow, really?
I mean, they called the Book of the Blood.
Yeah.
It must have been a heavy enterprise for drugs, because once we went through there, man, if you saw the holes through the walls, like the escape pattern,
Mm-hmm.
how they can get in and out, you know.
Wow.
It was something else. And the place was huge.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us didn't know how big that was. We leveled the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And we could look all back there how far that was. But there was complexes back there.
About how long did it take from the time you guys took it over for things to settle down? What was that time period like? How long did that take?
A couple of months.
Oh wow! So you guys on alert for a minute.
Oh yeah, because when they found out that they couldn't scare us,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, when they found out they couldn't scare us,
yeah,
ain't nothing they could do.
Yeah,
ain't nothing they could do. You drive up, you got a light shining in your face. You know.
Yeah.
You can't see. You might hear click, 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 click. Oh yeah, we're getting out of Dodge.
Right.
Because these guys ain't playing.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
You know, so
okay.
Cops come by and wave. Cops drive by and wave.
Thank you. Wow. Okay. So how many years total have you been a Maccabee? And you need a calculator.
No, since the onset. 45 years. I'm always a Maccabee.
Right. So you said 45?
45, 46.
40? Okay. All right. So that's a long time. All right. So what was that the only time the Maccabees were called upon to, if necessary, use force to remove people, protect nation members and/or Jeramoja? Was that the first time that you guys had to do that kind of thing?
Well, to that extreme.
Okay.
To that extreme, I don't think people realize that one time Me and Jeramoja Minonli Kamati, we were Maccabees together at one time.
Yeah.
And Jimmy Carter was running for president.
Mm-hmm.
And he came down to, I don't know, it's Colombo Arena, wherever it was. Me and the Maccabees, we dressed in black fatigues, jump boots, and berets.
Okay.
And Jimmy Carter wanted to speak to Jeramoja.
Okay.
We surrounded them.
Okay.
The Secret Service was going crazy.
Yeah.
The Secret Service was going crazy. So in order for Jimmy Carter to talk to the Maccabees, to talk to Jeramoja, he had to come through the Maccabees.
Wait. So wow. So Jimmy Carter is running for president, and he comes to Detroit and he wants to speak to the founder of the Shrines of the Black Madonna.
Yeah.
That is a hell of a, that says a lot about Jeramoja.
Oh yeah.
That a presidential candidate wanted to talk to him.
Well, you gotta remember at one time when Jeramoja had a price on his head.
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah.
Yeah, Jeramoja had a price on his head. I mean, one time we wouldn't let nobody get 3 feet in front of Jeramoja.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that tells you they don't put a price on your head unless you're saying something that's right.
That's right. That's right.
You know?
And I don't know, Major. I don't know if a lot of people realize that Detroit in the mid to late 70s, early 80s was a very violent city. Hell, it's violent now, but Detroit was no joke. You know, you talk about having to leave Philly. I'm not sure leaving Philly going to Detroit was too much of a difference. I mean, because Detroit was just as bad.
Well, that ain't matter to me, you know, because I know
well, I know it matter to you because you are who you are. But if people don't know you, you know, you got to be a certain kind of person to be willing and able to be a Maccabee in Detroit. That says a lot. That says a lot. So speaking of the price that was put on Jeramoja's head, I'm assuming that was done because somebody, like you said, somebody didn't like what he was saying and what he was doing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You know.
Okay.
When you're trying to uplift Black people,
always
people don't want that. You know.
Yeah, always. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, Malcolm had a price on his head. Martin Luther didn't have a price on his head. You know.
Yeah.
Especially when Martin changed some of his philosophy. You know.
Right.
Yeah. The price went up.
Yeah. Amen. Okay. So speaking of the holy orders, let's talk a little bit about the church's program. From action groups to the group process, which you talked about a lot, to MOR, to devotionals, and you mentioned both those as well. My question, Majors, is how was the church able to come up with so many life-changing tenets, practices, and programs, and have Black people actually do them? Like you talked about change a lot. How did the church come up with those kinds of programs and practices, and not just come up with them, but have Black people actually do them?
Growth.
Okay.
Growth. Now, to me, I don't know how Jeramoja came up with it, but he came up with it. But
yes, sir.
For people can't stay the same to me.
Amen.
So as we grow, I think Jeramoja was thinking we need more of things to make us grow closer to God, closer together.
Okay.
And those, like you say, rituals and tenets enhance our belief in what we were doing, our belief in God, our belief in Black Christian nationalists. So, and like it's always, to me, like you said, I use change a lot because it's change.
Yeah.
You can't stay the same way always. So if you're going to change, you want to change for the better.
That's right.
You know, so those are things was all, and it was for the better.
Yeah. What? Obviously. Okay. So from the BCN creed to the BCN covenant to the BCN program, the BCN teaches to the BCN triangles to Black Church as a change agent, which is an absolutely phenomenal article and a piece of a publication. And of course, I can go on and on. I believe that the leadership we had to develop such things was absolutely awe-inspiring and absolutely amazing. So what do you think, Major? What do you think allowed us to create such revolutionary documents and create a culture by which we were actually living those words in those documents and literally trying to build a nation within this nation for Black people. So what do you think allowed us to create those kinds of documents and create a culture by which we were actually trying to build a nation within a nation? How did we do that?
Jeramogi.
All right. Well, amen.
Jeramogi.
Yeah.
Jeramogi thought of all those things.
Mm-hmm.
He might have asked those, this is the direction we're going.
Mm-hmm.
This is what we need to do. What input you got to help us enhance what I'm already doing?
That's right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Jeramogi did it.
Okay.
He did it. And like I said, he got the help that he wanted
mm-hmm.
from the leadership that was around him.
Right.
Like, you know, he told Monifa, don't do this, and bring it back to me.
Yeah.
You know, I remember one time I was in Atlanta and Sonda was in charge. And
mm-hmm.
I thought I was a hell of an organizer.
Mm-hmm.
But see now, hey, I put stuff on paper, he would tear it up.
Mm.
I say, what? Go back and do it again.
Okay.
Tear it up again. And he said, well, go in this direction.
Mm-hmm.
I started going in that direction, man. I became better.
That's right.
It's stuff like that. You know, you propose things, someone looks at it. Oh, now go in this direction. I'm not messing with your ego or messing with your pride, but I think you should go this direction or that direction. Right. You know,
yeah, go
that direction, and you enhance the original program that was already there, that mm-hmm. he had established. Right. Like I said, it came out of Jeramogi.
Yeah, yeah, and of course, it always helps if you have people that are committed to the mission. If you committed to the mission, when the leader says turn left, then you say, okay, well, we're gonna turn left, and that always helps. So speaking of all that, Major, I can't let you go without talking about how the church, and you mentioned this earlier, how the church was able to expand to all the different locations, missionary outreach. So whose idea was it? How crazy did it sound at the time? And how did Jeramogi and leadership get people to, again, actually go do missionary outreach?
I'm in Philly.
Okay.
We don't know nothing about no MR, missionary outreach, until we're told about it. Right. I've heard different stories, you know, who started it, and, you know, I wasn't there to actually know.
Okay.
But I hear different stories, but sometimes I hear a story that a lot of people don't mention, something about Mwandu. Captain Mwandu went downtown and he started something with a can, or a piece of chicken, or something, or a chicken back, or something like that.
Chicken.
You know,
don't tell it like that.
a chicken container, or
something
like
chicken
that.
bucket. Yeah, right. I got you.
A chicken container someday, because I've heard his name also mentioned.
Okay.
Besides, you know, Kokomani or Cardinal 90, you know, I heard different names, but hey, we in Philly.
Yeah.
All we said was, give us the can, we'll do it.
Right.
And that's what we did. We raised a lot of money in Philly.
So do you think that you guys were doing MOR before it was MOR? It just didn't have a name?
No.
Okay.
It was MOR. It was already MOR. It was already MOR.
Okay.
Yeah, it was already MOR, but hey, like I said, we opened the East Coast.
Yeah.
We bought some big money.
Yeah. So for those that don't know, tell them what MOR was, literally.
Missionary outreach.
Okay.
Requesting funds so our nation can grow.
Right.
I mean, we had no problem saying this is for our missionary outreach program, our expansion program, you know, to help the urban communities.
Yeah.
And that's true. That's what we were doing.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
We were building our own institutions so we can take Black people out of the ghetto, or off the street. You know, that's what we build institutions for, to expand to other cities. So, you know, because Black is beautiful. And
how did you do that? Literally, how did you get those funds?
Stand out there and ask.
You stand out where?
In front of a store.
Okay.
And, you know, supermarket. That's what we did. You know.
Yeah.
And we'd go into. We had a brother in Philly who ended up became part of the MR coordinator in Detroit, in Wamba. Boy, that Wamba could, man, he goes to the city, man, the mayor and the chief of police. Yes, sir, Reverend McLeod. You know, Wamba. Oh, yeah. We go city officials. We always go to the city officials.
Yeah.
And this is what we hear.
Was the church doing that before the Salvation Army?
I don't know. I don't know how long Salvation Army been doing it, but see, they was getting paid. We weren't getting paid.
That's right. Yeah. Well,
You
you weren't getting paid monetarily. Yeah.
Even Moon.
Yeah. Even what?
Oh,
Reverend Moon. Right. Yeah.
There's people out there.
That's right.
Yeah, they told me one time I was in up in Connecticut one time.
Mm-hmm.
You better not come back here. You might not get a ride back home. I was threatened.
Okay.
I said, bring it on.
Right. They bring a lunch. so you
bring a body bag.
Amen. You talked about the kind of money that was raised and how successful we were. So let people know what we were able to do with the money to give people an understanding how powerful MOR was. What were we able to do as a church and a nation with that money that we raised? That's
how we got Shrine 10. That's how we got part of Shrine 10 in Houston, Atlanta, partial view land to MOR and pledges, all the institutions that we had in Detroit, So, because people like something, y'all had all Detroit, we had Shrine 1, Shrine 2, Shrine 3, Shrine 4, the printing press. We had the Shrine on Broad Street, we had a building that was going to be a printing press and a studio.
Okay.
A studio because, the cable thing was starting to come through at that time.
Okay.
We was getting a studio ready that we could actually broadcast.
Right.
So shucks. We was ready to do it.
Yeah. So at the height of your membership, how many locations did we have?
Don't ask me.
Was it
hard to say because between what we had in Kalamazoo, Flint, all those institutions we had in Detroit, then we had Atlanta and Bueller and Houston, and it's no telling we could have had one in Philly, we could have had one in New York, those was actually being thought of, New York, Philly, stuff like that. So it's quite a bit.
And the ability to do that and expand came from primarily MOR, yeah?
Yeah. But we had, like we say, Cody expansion, the ties to the church and then for expansion and then for Buell land. Sure.
Okay. So next question, Major, do you think we Black people will ever see that level of commitment again from our people? I mean, when I think, and I talk to Oni about this all the time, the level of commitment it takes to stand in front of a store I did Freedom Train. I didn't do the leaving on Wednesday because I had a job, but for 12 hours and to do it 3 or 4 days a week, that's a lot of commitment to do that and do it consistently for years. Do you think we will ever see that kind of commitment again from Black people?
I hate to say never, but one of the key words, which a lot of people don't understand, and every revolution, which we are in a revolution now.
Oh, no doubt.
Sacrifice.
Yep.
Now, you very seldom hear people mention that word sacrifice. Are you willing to sacrifice?
Right.
I mean, because at today's time, I have a theory. I say, as Black folks, we got a job, we got a house, we got a car. We are somewhat happy.
Yep.
Are you willing to give part of that up so your people can be free? Sacrifice. Are you willing to sacrifice your body? Sacrifice. Until we get to the point to say we're willing to sacrifice, we ain't gonna do nothing.
That's right.
Because we hanging on to too much stuff. I mean, sacrifice. Give up individualism. That's a sacrifice. Well, we don't realize it or look at it as a sacrifice. But it is a sacrifice to let go of your ego. To say, I'm your brother, I'm your sister. I will treat you like you treat me. For the better. That's sacrifice.
So you eventually had to leave Houston because I think, if I recall, your father got sick.
Yeah.
So I remember when you left, and I definitely felt the void when you were no longer there. So having committed your life to the church for so long, and then having to leave to take care of your father, how difficult was it to do that, to leave one family for another?
It was.
Yeah.
It was because when I left Philly, like I said, I came here to take care of my father.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know how long it would be. I didn't think it would be that long because he was, he was kind of ill.
Yeah.
So I was only coming back here just to take care of him, make sure everything was okay.
Mm-hmm.
But he had bills. He had a family house that was falling apart.
Mm-hmm.
I got in debt.
Yeah.
Just to maintain him and to try to maintain the house. I didn't have a job.
Yeah.
I'm 50 years old. I don't have a college degree.
Mm-hmm.
I'm starting from scratch.
Yes, sir.
I started working 2 and 3 jobs and got stuck. I got stuck more so than anything. It was difficult.
Yeah.
The language was different.
The what?
I've been away from the language from people.
The language.
Was different from mine,
Right.
from our language.
Yeah.
The people were different.
Yes, sir.
And it was a hard transition.
Mm-hmm.
I've been gone away from Philly for almost 25 years.
Right.
I don't know anybody like I used to know them.
Mm-hmm.
So it was this transition. I sat on my step many a day just read.
Mm.
You talk to people. I mean, it was difficult to talk to people because they coming from a slave mentality.
That's right.
And focus more on themselves than the world.
Mm-hmm.
So it got to be hard to have a conversation.
Yeah.
And you sit there and listen and they say, why you ain't got nothing to say? When I say something, oh, how you know that? How you know that? Oh, where you find that out? Oh. That's one of the biggest mistakes I did.
Yeah.
I let out so many books while I was here.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, if reading is your problem, that's a good problem to have. So I'll leave it there. All right. So as I'm sure you have heard, Major, a lot of people are not happy with the state of the church right now for a number of reasons. However, I like to remind people we're still not free. And for those of us, I tell people that if you were fortunate and blessed enough to be attached to, associated with, active in the church for 1 year, you have more understanding of what nation building is than 99.9% of our people. And that's 1 year, right? So I tell people, I understand you have issues with stuff. A lot of us aren't happy with how things are now. However, we're still not free. So my question, Major, is what should be the actions of these disgruntled members, former members, ex-members? How can we, if at all, get them back on the path of working toward our liberation and salvation? After all, despite everything, Jeremiah in the church has given us a blueprint if we have faith of a mustard seed. Yeah. So how do we get people to refocus and understand? I understand you're upset, but we ain't free yet.
Yeah. And the part about it that a lot of us, even for me, didn't know exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Because, you hate to go by what people say or what you heard,
Sir.
And if you got a question, I would say let's write it in, write up.
Yeah.
Write a question up and send it in.
Yeah.
Why this happened? Why this happened? See if we can get a response.
Yeah.
I think for me, I'm always be a Black Christian nationalist in the way J.M. Oja instructed us to be.
That's right.
That doctrine, the way the program, the teaching, I'm always be a Black Christian nationalist. I will always support the church.
Yeah.
Because the church ain't it's not the building. there's some people that are there that I will always support.
Sure.
So they have showed me they're Black Christian nationalists.
Yeah.
You know, and those that are still hanging in there and doing good, get in touch with them. Ask them what you think is the problem. You know, then we get more people thinking or contacting other people. Let's have a general meeting with everybody. You know, what the main thing is, what's best for the nation? What's best for those who have given their lives? Like you say, from the cradle to the grave. You know, that's my concern. I don't know. I really don't have the answer for that.
Yeah.
You know? But those of us who've been Black Christian nationalists all these years, we still Black Christian nationalists.
Right, and gonna die Black Christian nationalists.
Oh yeah. The way Jeramoja, Abebe, and Ajiman set it up to be, we will always be that type of Black Christian nationalists.
Amen. I can most certainly dig it, brother. All right. So there's someone who doesn't know, Major. Somebody who doesn't know who Reverend Albert B. Clegg was, African title and name, Jeramoja Abebe Ajiman. Who was this brother? If someone were to ask you, I keep hearing about this brother, Albert Clegg Jr., Jeramoja Abebe Ajiman. Who was this brother? How would you answer that question?
You know what?
Come on.
The father of Black theology.
Okay.
Who wasn't the first one to turn, but the term that Jesus was Black. He the one that actually pushed it to the limit. Because I heard someone try to say my uncle was, and James Cone was the father of Black theology.
Yeah.
I corrected him of that. Because my uncle was the Reverend Dr. Gaylord Wilmore.
Okay.
And they tried to term he was the father of Black theology. And him and James Cone.
Yeah.
But I said, nah.
Yeah.
Because they did a thing for my uncle about a week ago. God, they doing a book on him.
Okay.
And he mentioned something like that, the father of Black. I said, no, I'm from the Shrine of Black Madonna, Black Christian nationalists, and the Jeramoja Abebe, Reverend Albert B. Clegg is also known as the father
of liberation theology. Yes, sir.
Oh yeah, man. I raised some eyebrows raised. It was a doom.
To say the least. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so in your opinion, Major, would you consider Jeramoja to be a genius?
Definitely.
In what way?
I used to sit in the presence of Jeramoja, and at first I was really scared.
Sure.
I would sit, they look him in the eyes, and he always like he's looking straight through you. Like he know what you're thinking.
Yeah.
Until that time, I was talking to him about my father. And he told me, you need to go home and take care of father.
Yeah.
And the way he talked to me, I didn't know he had such high esteem for me. Because he used to tell some people, this is the general Schwarzkopf of the nation. It was the general back there that
Schwarzkopf.
Schwarzkopf.
Yeah,
I was
the first Gulf War.
Yeah. I could send him anywhere. He would organize the Maccabees.
That's right.
That's the way he looked at me, and I was astonished.
Yeah,
I was astonished.
Okay, all right. So another perfect segue. What would be your proudest moment as a member of the Shrine, and why? And you can't mention the birth of a child or a marriage. So, what would be your proudest moment as a member of the Shrine, and why?
Well, the day I joined.
Okay, why?
Because I wouldn't be the person I am now.
That's right.
If I hadn't joined the Shrine.
Yes,
I don't know what avenue or what direction I would have took. But the knowledge I have, the many people and friends I've met over the years, I don't think I could have done any better.
Yeah.
So the day I joined was, I think, the most happiest moment.
Okay, cool. So from the time you joined to now, what do you think were or are some of the things we could have done better as a national organization? From the time you joined to now, what are some of the things, or a thing that you think we could have done better as a national organization?
I think one thing I thought, if we had our own schools.
Yeah, that would have been great.
our kids caught hell.
Because they were different.
It was different.
Yes, sir.
You know, they would go to school and be calling BC and black niggas or something like that. You know, I mean, my daughter called me one day and said, "Dad," say what? She's in college. She said, "Dad, I'm straightening my hair before anybody tell you."
Want to let you know.
Because she grew up in the shrine, and she said, "Dad, when anybody tell you, I straighten my hair."
Yeah.
And she always had natural cornrows, was one of the best cornrows in the city of Detroit.
Okay.
Taught by Kalomo Maasai's sister.
Okay.
Yeah. She said, No Knee was one of and my daughter's name No Knee. My No Knee's the best people I had, So yeah. I think our schools for our children would have been, because like I said, our kids caught hell.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. So what are the top 3 things you think the shrine excelled at that Black people could still benefit from today? The top 3 things you think the shrine excelled at that Black people could still benefit from today?
Group process.
The group process. All right. Hey, that's a good one. That's number 1. Group process.
Leadership. Yeah. And I would say the communalism.
Okay. All
communalism.
Right.
The love, the real love for each other. That's hard to do. Man.
Yes, sir. The real love for each other.
Communalism. Yeah.
I can dig it. Okay. All right. So I don't know if you know this or not, Major, but the organization that I started, Black Gold Nation, the foundation is the shrine. And I don't know how it would not be the shrine. So it's definitely that. So any words of wisdom for a brother, that brother being me, who's trying to build upon everything we've just talked about and shared and take it to the next level. So any words of wisdom for a relatively somewhat kind of young brother who's trying to build upon this thing that we were blessed to be a part of and take it to the next level?
Well, I've been somewhat, following you. Okay. I haven't said too much, but some of the people you have on there are very intelligent, know what they're doing.
Amen.
But everybody got to have the same goal.
Yes, sir.
Yes, to me, it's just the same goal. The betterment and enrichment of Black people, and for us to work together, you got to put together some type of group process.
No. Yeah,
because
I've heard that before.
Because our egos are getting in the way, man.
Yeah,
that niggerization is something that will tear you apart.
Right.
Sure, if you bring something to the table, ain't nothing wrong with bringing something to the table. Right. But it ain't just for you; it's for everybody else.
That's right. Yeah.
That was the main thing I would say.
Okay. I would take that and add your name to it. Major Colombo said the same thing. I've heard that before, specifically from Funi Fabu and Funi Akita. So yeah, I know, and I am most certainly working on it. So last question for you, Major. Last question for you is, do you have any? There you go, camera.
No, it's, I got to put my cord onto my battery real quick. Hold on.
Okay, all right, I'm waiting.
Okay.
Are you good? All right. So last question is any closing remarks, comments, or words of wisdom before we close this thing out? Any closing remarks, comments, or words of wisdom?
Let the Black nation rise.
Well, amen. Okay, all right, so that's it for you. Let the Black nation rise?
Black nation rise, man. And you know, so much we need to do.
Yes, sir.
In these days and time.
Yep.
Somebody got to do something.
Yeah, I agree. Okay.
Gotta...
All right, Major Kalomo Maasai, on that note, brother, I do thank you sincerely from the bottom of my heart for taking time to have this conversation. I'm actually kind of amazed and quite pleased at how many people are watching the interviews and really appreciating what you guys are sharing. I'm looking forward to having some of the younger people on so I can get their perspective of things. But it really, really, really matters that we get your experiences in the church, because sadly, as you know, most people don't even know who Jeramogi was, have no idea what the Shrines of the Black Madonna was. So these conversations are important because the world needs to know who this brother was. And I think by your telling your story, definitely by your influence in my life personally, I can guarantee you I'm going to do every single thing I can to ensure that the world not only knows who he was and what he did, but of course, people like you, his quote unquote foot soldiers, because as bad as he was, he wouldn't have been able to do any of it without good people like yourself. So I not only thank you, brother, for taking time to have this conversation with me, but I thank you for being who you are, because I am because you are. You've done things for me, like Carnell Bayou. You've given me an example of what real Black leadership looks like. So I'm not confused on what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm not clueless on the path of the program because I've lived it. And of course, you've been a part of that. So, you know, I thank you for tonight. And I thank you for being the example of strong Black leadership, because again, without you, brother, I wouldn't be here. And I really appreciate it. So thank you for that.
I thank you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you.
All right, brother. So on that note, I'd like to end. I'm sorry, you about to say something else?
No, I'm
okay.
good.
All right, good. So I like to end all of my shows with the same thing, and I'm sure you've heard it before. Always remember that no one can do everything, but if everyone does something, everything will get done. And always, always, always remember that nothing is more sacred than the liberation and salvation of Black people. Because if Black people don't make it, we're not gonna make it because we Black. So that's on that note, Major, I appreciate it, brother. Love you very much. God bless you, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you very much.
Right. Peace, Major.